share my screen and go to ChatGPT and talk a little bit about what this is and why we're doing it. We are moving into a new unit on writing a professional cover letter and a targeted cover letter, and using our awareness of rhetorical theory to communicate effectively in professional contexts. I asked, how many people have never seen or used ChatGPT before? First time engagement with it. Awesome. And there's a lot of people in here that have used it already, which is interesting. It is what's that? Okay, yeah, that's right. Limitations: may occasionally generate incorrect information, may occasionally produce harmful content, instructions, or biased content. Limited knowledge of world events after 2021. It also says when you open it up that it's not designed to give advice.
Did you write?
I did. I mean, interestingly, I asked how can I love my wife better? And it said, great question. It's not only important to love your wife, but to communicate love in a way that she understands it. Here's 4 different ways to communicate your care and affection for your partner, that you need to know more about her to be able to do this. It has a hard time generating, it doesn't know our particular contexts and our particular values, commitments, so on and so forth, goals and ambitions. But I can tell it those things and it can kind of respond to us. So it is a chat conversation. Here's where I'm interested in it. The educational world in general is still, it's difficult to say what ChatGPT means, particularly for writing classes, since it can. I'll show you. Let's just show just a little bit. Before this semester started, one of my first playing with this. Can you help me recreate a college level composition course? Certainly. Here's what you need. Okay, I already have the outcomes, goals, reading, syllabus, and lessons. I just want to make new assessments in light of ChatGPT and students' new ability to plagiarize from their conversations with you. I'm aware of plagiarism. Here's how you do that. I was testing it. Can you do a Bitzer style rhetorical analysis of an article online? Sure, here's how. Can you generate a rough draft of a rhetorical analysis of Mark Edmondson's Who Are You and What Are You Doing Here? Certainly, here it is. Can you develop the paragraph on style further using more quotes from the text? Certainly, here it is. If a student copies and pastes this into a plagiarism checker, will their essay be caught by plagiarism software? It's possible that it could catch it. Thanks, that's reassuring. Can you humanize your rhetorical response to Edmondson even further? Certainly. Here's a more humanized, and I was trying to get more human language. It's funny, one of the things that they said, one of the people said how to know if writing was generated by ChatGPT is that it's just too good and clear. Human writing is unclear and long sentences and kind of uses words that you don't need to use. You repeat yourself. ChatGPT doesn't do that. So it's almost good to have bad writing. No, anyway. I then said, well, my goals are, I want to improve students' ability to read carefully, critically, creatively, take great notes. What are the essential sub-skills that students would need to practice to do this? Here they are: asking questions, summarizing, analyzing, interpreting, taking effective notes, connecting to prior knowledge, and reflecting on and synthesizing the material. Does that look like a reading notes rubric? Yes, can you create a rubric for students to self-assess? Certainly. Can you assign point values? Yes. I want to use student-centered grading contracts. Can you provide an example of a contract that would combine well with the note-taking rubric you just created? Certainly. Improve note-taking skills to improve the quality effectiveness of my notes through regular practice and self-assessment. Okay. I've seen a lot on how ChatGPT can help students think. I'm sorry, I haven't seen that. How students can bypass their need to think by having ChatGPT do the thinking and writing for us. Traditionally speaking, in the educational system, we use essays as a way to see what students are thinking about. It's like, how can I tell how good you are at rhetorical analysis? By seeing what you write about in a rhetorical analysis essay. This does that for you, and therefore robs your ability to do that hard work yourself. I've seen a lot of people talk about that. I'm less interested in that. I think it's more interesting to imagine what this is going to do for our collective ability to think, research, and generate better questions. And that's the game I want to play today. Do we want to be better conversationalists? We said yes. And what are the 2 sub-skills of being a better conversationalist? Maybe we'll just do a new chat and say, can you help me be a better conversationalist? Can you help me be better at conversations? Can you be better at conversations? To hit enter and see?
Yeah. Can you be better? It's thinking.
Usually it generates a response pretty quickly. So apparently
It's in there.
we stumped it. This is good.
Sometimes it'll just say, no, you can't access our website.
I know yesterday it said you've hit your question quota. Please try back again in an hour.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay, great. Yes, I can certainly help you bigger, but here's some tips that can help. Listen actively. Pay attention to the other person in an effort to understand their perspective. Show that you're listening by nodding, making eye contact, and asking questions. Ask open-ended questions. Instead of asking yes/no questions, try the questions that require a more in-depth answer. This helps to keep the conversation flowing and encourage another person to talk more. Avoid interruptions. Let the other person finish before jumping in. Be present. Put away distractions like your phone or other devices. I'd encourage you to do that and focus on the conversation at hand. Practice empathy. Try to understand and share the feelings of the other person. Be positive. Avoid complaining. Okay. Do we have any questions? Here's what I'd like us to do for the rest of the class period. I want us to use this as a tool to research as a research assistant. Seen a little bit of that, but it's an interesting, that's how I've been using it in my philosophical investigations. But also as a thought partner, basically like a conversation partner. Does that sound okay? We'll put some extra conditions on this.
Why is it recording it?
Oh, because I think this, based on how this goes, it might be valuable for other people. Might put it on the YouTube channel. Yeah, so I have tips for better conversations, the Socratic dialogue partner, job search assistance provider, ChatGPT as a conversation partner. I asked it how to hardwire happiness, and I got a ton of researches on the neuropsychology of cementing positive emotions into our brains and behavior. I asked it a wide-ranging factors about how the Buddhist philosophy of the 7 factors of awakening connect to current adult development theories and best practices in group facilitation. Fucking fascinating. We already saw how I created a college composition course. I had to design a year-long leadership development program. And I've been doing other, so yes, here's the goal, just generally speaking. I want to challenge you to ask as many questions over the next 40 minutes as you possibly can. Generally speaking, we think better on paper, or I guess you could totally use your devices for this. Can you generate some questions that you have, not just verbally, but I want to see I don't know if competition helps, but we'll make it a competition, maybe for fun. How many questions can you generate in the next 45 minutes, 40 minutes?
Do we need to sign up?
No, we are about the conversation that we're having, which is mainly, what do we know? Let's start here. On a scale of 1 to 5, how much do you know about writing a good cover letter for an internship you really want? 5 being, I know a lot about it. I've done it before and succeeded in multiple internships. 1 being, I've never written a cover letter for a job and I don't even know what that means. Okay, so that's the theme that I want it to help. That's the theme I want ChatGPT to help us with. Is, can you help me write a better targeted cover letter for an internship that I want?
I'm kind of confused.
Please.
So like, we need to make Okay, we need to sign up to the.
You don't need to sign up to ChatGPT,
Okay,
but if you would like to, it's at openai.com.
so we're just coming up with things.
You have to sign up. Here's how I want to play this. We are a conversation partner on the screen to ChatGPT, and we can generate better questions than I can in the context of our conversation with ChatGPT. I am pitting each section against each other to see which section generates different or unique information from the conversations with ChatGPT. You have the benefit because I've done 2 of these already today, so I can share some of them with you. But I want to see more particularly, and like, oh my God, is it writing my cover letter for me? It
Yeah.
sure looks like it is, with some brackets in there.
Oh my gosh. Does it do the same thing? So like if you ask a question twice, like on different days, does it give the same response?
Yeah, you can.
I can click regenerate response, and it will give me a slightly different one.
Oh my god.
Different every time. Every time you ask.
Now, I wasn't sure whether or not to share this in class, particularly because I didn't realize that it would give me a template for writing a cover letter that you can now copy and paste for the assignment that's due in 2 weeks. You have a cover letter due in 2 weeks. Have you already done a rhetorical analysis of the employer that you're submitting that cover letter to? I'm afraid then it's probably not going to work. Here's the deal. Your cover letter should target the unique situation of the position you're applying to. Your cover letter should reflect an analysis and a good reading of the situation that that employer is in. You're showing off your ability to know what they want more than the other candidates who are applying to the job do. You've researched the company. You've looked at the language of the job posting. You're targeting your writing to match the culture, needs, values, beliefs, attitudes, constraints of the hiring manager. Yeah, sorry, I know that was a terrible joke. You understand what this hiring manager is looking for, what they value, what they believe, what they need. You write to them. There's a really interesting ethical question here. Ideally, you're not lying to them when you tell them you think you would be a good fit for the company. So it just wrote me of another cover letter that I could use as a template. But before I write a cover letter, what do I need to be able to do? I need to be able to figure out what job I'm applying for. Like I need to find an internship first. Is anybody unclear about what you want to do with your career or like weighing multiple options of what you might do? Yeah, it also might not, it's not going to redirect my query. And actually, I can actually, and let's maybe go back to Ben here. You said, Ben, that you used it to generate or ask better questions.
You can ask it to teach you how to write better.
Can you teach me how to write better questions so that we can collaborate better together on my internship? I really want fulfilling work. And I think you might be able to help me find it. But I suck at asking good questions. That's probably more information than it needs. Sure, asking good questions is an important part of collaborating effectively, and I'd be happy to help you improve in this area. Here are some tips for writing better questions. Okay, as this is going, I want you to imagine you're talking to a person and what you might ask it in a conversation with it based on this. Specific, open-ended, avoid assumptions, show genuine interest, ask for clarification, shows that you're paying attention and helps avoid misunderstanding, use follow-up questions. Ooh, I got an idea. We're going to import one of the best ones from my first class. Can you act like you're Socrates and end every one of your responses with 2 questions to me that might help me clarify my thinking. Certainly, as a language model trained by OpenAI, I can certainly mimic the style of Socrates and respond to your questions by asking follow-up questions in the manner that he did. Keep in mind that the Socratic method involves asking questions to clarify and challenge one's beliefs, rather than simply providing answers. Now I'm excited because I'm imagining how this technology can help me think about where I'm coming from in a way that I can use to converse with other human beings, which I haven't seen very much on. So what questions do I have then about, what questions do we have about our job search or internship search? What might we ask ChatGPT? Or since this is the first time that the people that have seen this, does anybody share reactions to this? Yeah, how to?
It makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Can we say why it makes us uncomfortable?
Because it's so good. Like, it's like.
Why else? It seems like it's giving good advice, but it says seems a bit what? Threatening to what?
It's so good.
A lot of conventions.
And this seems threatening to a lot of professions.
It's like.
We'll just see what it says here. Oh shit, it's doing what I asked it to do.
Some Reddit a couple days ago, heard about a project called Ben. Essentially, a prompt you put into ChatGPT, try and train the model to bypass its own restriction guidelines, so that it can generate any type of response instead of being locked out of certain responses.
Scary.
It actually worked for a little while. I tried it and patched it, but no doubt somebody can find it.
I almost want to go, it seems like ChatGPT. Yeah, how
Do we do it in another?
Yeah, oh yeah, it translates anything.
Yeah.
It will translate anything and polish texts that's not in your original language. So you can put English is not your first language. You could put your writing in here and ask it to polish your writing for English.
It's so scary.
It seems like ChatGPT can't be empathetic or face-to-face interactions. So human services and the human dimension of technical services seem like they're more important than ever. Like soft skills. Can you help me develop soft skills? Have you heard this term soft skills? Okay, there is, generally speaking, if you look at like your degree program, you're going to get hard skills, which are discipline specific. This would be like your coding languages, your ability to like engineering techniques. In education, it would be like the principles of lesson design, assessment theory, like the basics, the basic information, the kind of hard skills that you can share and practice. The soft skills are the skills that are harder to measure. They're it's also, I think a better word for them is human skills. Can you help me develop human skills to better listen and care for other people I interact with? Of course, I'd be happy to help you develop your human skills and improve your ability to listen and care for others. Here are some tips that can help. Oh, we're getting the same tips again. Someone in my last class was like, oh shit, I'm a communications major. I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, this can do all the communicate. Like, didn't this, someone just said that they had used ChatGPT to help their girlfriend generate 4 months of blog content in 4 minutes. So what's my job as a content creator? Your ability to use this and communicate with other people, I think is okay. Yeah. I think it's more, it's not just a face, it's a face that can ask good questions and listen and troubleshoot. Can it though? I wonder, does anybody have good questions that we could ask it about any of this? Or if you want to go, if you feel like here's our what we're doing in the next 2 weeks. Most immediately, you're finding an internship that you want to apply for. We're also going to do a little bit on grad schools. So how many people are pretty sure you're going to grad school? We're going to do a little bit on finding a good grad school, or at least like you could use this assignment to generate a response to a grad school, not this ChatGPT thing. Correct. You are not required to actually apply, but I want to strongly encourage you to actually apply. I want to encourage you to use this assignment to get a job or an internship. What's yeah. You can apply to an internship. Yeah, honestly, that would show some extra initiative there's a ton of different kinds of internships out there for people at all different levels. So I like this. We could let's change the topic. Yeah, go ahead, Hara.
I was gonna say, like, how can words to reason. I want to see the response.
Okay. What's that? I noticed that because I think I shifted maybe I didn't clearly specify that it needed to do that for the rest of the time. Let's change the topic. I'm just gonna stay here. How do I communicate with my
Grandmother. Words.
Okay, well, I think it needs to be specific. How do I communicate with my grandmother with regards to racism? Where is your grandmother from? What region or nationality? Like, can you give us more specifics about your grandmother?
Well, this is so random, but
I don't think it's random. I think we need some concrete specifics here.
she's from Iran. She has Alzheimer's, so I feel bad now.
Okay, yeah, maybe we should just abort this. I don't want it. You're not supposed to divulge personal information in here. I'm just trying to get like cultural. Is she Shi'i, Sunni Muslim, or some another?
Shams.
Oops, I don't know how to spell that.
Yes,
I am a college student. What are you studying? This is an interesting one. I love that are you authentically interested in I love that. I'm a college student studying psychology in the US.
oh.
Here are some tips that can help you have a better, effective communication with your grandmother. Be respectful. Use clear and simple language. Consider your grandmother's English proficiency. Ask questions. Listen actively. ChatGPT cannot have this conversation with your grandmother, but you can. Be patient.
Why don't you ask it to try and explain this?
I want to stay focused on the relevant question of how we can use this to get a better internship if we can.
How to convince a 70-year-old man, white man, that I'm good for this job.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Let's shift topics to helping me find an internship that I would love and that will provide me with transferable skills for the future, especially since you're around. No, still like that. Is that okay? Anyone want to amend this at all? Let's see what it says. Finding the right internship can be a great opportunity to gain valuable experience, develop new skills, and explore potential career paths. Here are some steps you can follow to find an internship that you'll love and that will benefit you in the long term. Clarify your goals. What do you want to get out? Network. Research potential employers. This is what we're going to do. You're going to find one and research it, analyze it. Check their website, social media profiles, and reviews from current and former employees to get a sense of their company culture. Apply to multiple internships. Prepare for the interview. Evaluate the offer. Consider if the internship aligns with your goals. I've got a few questions we could ask it. Does anyone have one on the basis of this response? Yeah, Andy. Or another one?
Could it be something like, what's the most efficient note-taking skills according to like a certain, or like hands-on? Like, good question.
That's a great one. Before we move to, we can go there. I just want to share does anyone have any other questions about this response? Like if we were having a conversation.
Sounds good. It's the best way to network.
Yeah, this one seemed interesting to me. I wonder if I could go deeper on that one. Can you tell me more about networking? I'm also interested in, is there too many internships to apply to at once? And I wonder, I know it's not supposed to give me advice, but there is, in the previous class, could you help me prepare for an interview by acting like the hiring manager? If I gave you the job posting and employer website.
Ask it to transparently explain what it thinks about your answers, whether that was a good answer or a bad answer.
This is one of the democratizing forces of this, is that people are now going to have access to a tutor that is kind of a global world-class tutor. If they, and yeah, can you help me improve my responses to the questions? Yeah. And I wanted to, yeah, it's going to give me this information. Yeah, so prepare responses to common interview questions. We're going to do that. Be honest. We're going to do that. This is what's this so far, having a genuine and real interest, I think, is incredibly valuable. Would you agree? You think people can read that?
Can we ask how it can show enthusiasm and interviews?
I just don't think you can fake it. So I think it's a matter of finding a job that you're
Yeah, but
actually
let's say you're
enthusiastic about.
anxious, you can't really show you're excited.
Seriously.
True.
How can we show enthusiasm in an interview if we have the tendency to be anxious? It's completely normal to feel anxious during a job interview, and there's important ways to manage anxiety and show your enthusiasm. Here are some tips that can help. Prepare, practice relaxation techniques, focus on your body language, Think positive. Connect with the interviewer. So I'm wondering about, I mean, there's a lot, I've been doing research on this question about how to prepare students, like how to write a good cover letter, not just in terms of writing a cover letter, but particularly for students that don't necessarily know what field they want to go in or are unsure what their internship might be. I feel like one of the biggest strategies to writing a good cover letter is finding a good company that you feel good about applying to. And it's the same thing that Google can kind of help you do more targeted research, but I'm not sure that it can help us necessarily figure out where to apply, especially if we're unsure what we're going to do in our professional field. I can't answer, like, it can't give advice or answer questions in that way. So I wonder, I mean, I kind of want to share at least the information. Can you help me with strategies to find a good internship without being overwhelmed? I'm not sure what I want to do yet.
Can you try and give us a specific major?
Yes, great.
Subfields are?
Identify your skills, interests, and values. How do we identify our skills? You could. Okay, it's giving me some websites, Indeed, Glassdoor, and LinkedIn. Don't limit yourself to traditional internships. Consider other options, volunteer opportunities, freelancing, or independent projects that can provide you with relevant experience and transferable skills. That's nice. I'm going to do the two things that I find most interesting on this. Can you tell me about alternative approaches to securing an internship? Like information interviewing? Have we heard of information interviewing before? Okay, there's two words. This is the word. I wish more people knew about this. Here's how it works. You find companies and industries that interest you and identify professionals working in those fields. You reach out to them and identify, and honestly, I don't think this is as good of advice as the stuff that I found on this. So for our notes, here's what you do for an information interview. I thought about rewriting this section to, instead of being a cover letter, to encourage you to go find 3 good information interviews. This is a more successful way of getting into a job. An information interview, you're doing 2 things. You're finding someone that you might want to be like, that you're not sure if you want to be like, and you're asking them to tell you their story of how they got to where they are. You want to get information from them about the benefits and drawbacks of the position that they're in and what advice they'd have to a young college student that's thinking about entering this field. So it might look like this. Hi, person. I saw that you are an instructor of writing at Colorado State University. I'm thinking about going to grad school to be an instructor or a professor. And I'm wondering if you have if you have 15 minutes to kind of share any information with me that you wish you would have known at the beginning of your journey to see if it's a good fit for me. Can we schedule a little bit of time just because I'm curious about you? I want to learn more about you. It's like saying, hey, I'm a little lost here. Can I get some directions? And most people will say, how many of you would like to help people if you can, if it doesn't take you that much time? Someone reaches out for you for help. Do you imagine like 20 years from now, if you were in like a professional position, if a college student reached out to you and was looking for some help or guidance around the specific path that you've taken to get to where you are, you think you would respond to that person? Here's the keys to an information interview. You are not asking for an internship or a job. And you're not using the information interview to get anything out of them. The only thing you're getting out of them is their story and their opportunity to tell you about themselves. Do you think people like talking about themselves? Particularly to young people that are interested in them? That's what you do. It's like, here's another bit of information. What percentage of jobs never get posted to the internet? Let's say there's 100 jobs available in the United States. What percentage, how many of those jobs get published to a job board that you could find publicly? More than that. They don't know exactly. It's a hard thing to measure, but somewhere between 30 and 50%. I mean, somewhere between half and 2/3 of jobs never even hit a job board. How do the majority of jobs get filled in this country then? Network and connections. Why? Because hiring people is hard. And hopefully we've learned in this class that people like things to be easy. It's like the metaphor I learned is getting into like a nice nightclub. There's like a long line by the front door, and you could try to get in through the front door past the bouncer with everyone else trying to get in the front door, or you could get in through a back door, side door. How do you get into the back door or side door? You got to know somebody. How do you know those people? You network. How do you network? You talk to people. And do we have like a negative connotation with networking? It kind of seems like smarmy. I did when I was like, it seems like if I'm just like trying to get to know you so I can advance my career, I don't know, that seems kind of slimy. Yeah, so how do I network better? Yeah. Make connections with professionals, learn new opportunities, gain insights. Again, it's asking me to be clear about my goals and skills, which I feel like is the hardest part of this and what I think the work is. And I wonder,
Can it give like specific, like if we ask how can I network in Colorado State University, can it give you specific?
let's check that. That's a great idea. Thank you. We already knew that. Can you help me network at Colorado State University? What's your field? Thank you. It's good. This is where I was hoping we would get something like this. Oh. Oh, it's internet lag, I bet. Oh, or my.
Oh my god, it even has the honors society. So crazy. This,
Yeah, why? I'm glad that you said that. Someone in my other class said, I bet you could get the names and emails of 10 animal vets within 50 miles of Fort Collins. It said, unfortunately, I can't do that. I can't share personal information, but you can use these sources to find it. You can use Google for that, right? Just use Google Maps for that. What's unique about this, why is this different than Google?
because
It can do way more stuff we've seen, but why else?
it has a more humanized.
It feels like you're having a conversation. Oh. Yeah, I'm still, another question we could ask it. You should look in the chat too to see if Jaden has anything. So then here's what we're doing. Where can you find an internship? What are the best sources? Probably. How many of us have used the university's career center? It's just career.colostate.edu. They have awesome events. They have resume and employment fairs. They have a job board through Handshake. So it's also by discipline. How do I get to Handshake? Oh yeah, is this it? No. Jobs. Looks like I can schedule a resume help. Yes, yes. Yeah. Oh, I meant to mention this. Parker Dewey. They have a whole banner on this. Have we heard of this? I'm really excited about this. It's micro internships. It's like speed dating, but for internships. So you can get into a position that's a very limited term to know whether or not you actually want to go into this field. So I'm like, I'm kind of interested in being a big animal vet, but I don't know. Or I'm kind of interested in 5 to 40 hours. You could also list multiple internships that you've had. Even if, how long was that internship? 6 hours. Interesting. The other thing that I like that I've heard is that you want to basically tell people that you're looking for an internship because they might know someone that that's wanting to pair you up with someone. So I'm curious, what are we taking from this? We have 5 minutes left. We can kind of debrief, especially if this is the first time that we've seen this. Actually, let me back up. Was this a good idea or a terrible idea to use class time? Some medium and some good. Why medium?
Because I feel like even though it's good, but like you're kind of, it's like using Google Scholar. I feel like the responses, things like, it's like you're reading the same thing in just different.
That's really helpful. So it's like almost like you're reading this advice information that it's almost unsure of like how to access it and how good it is. Yeah, Robin.
Yeah, so like it's just like and like even though we're talking about like there's just like endless.
I love that. This session has been overwhelming. There's so many questions I could ask. How do I know the right ones? I was when Google, I don't think Google can, there's certain questions that Google can't answer, right? Like the big questions that we all need to answer about what we're doing. Oh, yeah, in the style of its writing. I like between answers or within an answer. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that makes sense.
Apparently it was much more diverse when it got released, but a lot more guidelines have been put in place for the AI, and so it's much more restrictive in terms of what questions it can answer and how it can answer.
Okay, this is what's interesting to me is its advice was to over and over to identify goals and priorities. On a scale of 1 to 5, how clearly could you identify your goals and priorities? 5 being very clear or 1 being not clear at all. Somewhere in between. Yeah. I guess, but before, does anyone else want to say anything about this? We probably don't want to spend any more class time using this, or is this something that we should have up as like a research tool that we could ask if it pops up in future classes?
Good exercise in learning how to ask.
Yeah, I think what was the most valuable information? Notice this skill, there was a lot of information that came at us in the last 45 minutes, right? What was most valuable? Notice that this is the exact same skill I'm asking you to do in your reading notes as well. What was most valuable from our talk today? And interestingly, there isn't a right answer here. It's based on your particular situation. But I do think it's what was most valuable about this, Hannah?
like, thinking about asking questions, having
Great. Thinking about how to ask a question, how to add more information to it to help it. That's really good. Because it does seem like knowing the right questions to ask is what gives us better answers. Anything else? I'd go information interviewing just because it's an underutilized way to get to know people. And it's okay to how many of us have social anxiety when we talk to people that are like in positions of power? I think it's pretty natural to have that. Information interviewing is a great way to practice that because it's totally okay to be like, I'm intimidated here. They're like, that's okay. I'm a badass. No, that's not. It's an okay place to be socially intimidated and to learn more about another person. You don't have to show up like you know it all in that context. It's kind of nice if you don't. Okay. How can I take care of myself? Oh, I don't know. I hope you all take care of yourselves over the weekend and have a good time. You don't have anything due on Monday. I did want to say one thing about your essay. 10% of it is your self-evaluation. Oh yeah. Yeah. This could grade your papers for me if I gave it the rubric in each paper. Could also help you grade your own papers by giving it the paper and the rubric. I am more interested in your ability to talk to me about your work and give yourself a grade than I am in your ability to perform the assignment. That's a strong statement. And because I think it's interesting. Your ability to accurately say what you did well and what you could do better is worth 10 points of the assignment, but I think it's so much more important than that. At the bottom of the essay or in a comment or in another attachment. So you can have a self-reflection as a separate document. Canvas does not lose your previous submissions. I can see every submission that you've made, and then it just goes to the most recent one, but I can go back through. So you don't need to worry about losing what you already submitted. You can put it at the end of your essay, or you can put it as a separate comment. The more accurate and thorough you are on the rubric and how well you think you did on the rubric, the easier I can give you feedback based on your feedback and kind of point you in the direction and give you the grade that you deserve, which is partially the grade that you think you deserve. Cool. Thank you. We're out of time. Thanks, Ben. You're good. Appreciate it. Sunday at midnight. See you. Thanks, Robin. Bye. Bye. Trudy, you're back.
Yes, I was just wondering if I could run by you my